in this summer, not so hot evening, and I would. There is some rain in some parts of the North India, so little relief from the heat is. So it's a good news, and also it's the last day of our national election today, and so many coincidences is going to happen in today's evening. So meanwhile, a few people are joining. We can start our introductory session. So this uh, a joint talk organized by the Indian National Young Science Academy, New Delhi, and the Government Medical College, Siroi. And here we are with Dr. Nishant Chakravarti, who is the chair of INYAS, and none other than Dr. Vinay Kumar, our esteemed chief guest and chief speaker today. And so first I'll request Dr. Nishant of mental health and this related topic, and the INYAS to our members who are not who are participants who are outside from outside the INYAS. So what is INYAS and what things we are doing throughout this country, and what are its achievements? So over to Shant.
Thank you, Dr. Devendra. So, of course, it's very wonderful to see Dr. Vinay Kumar with us here today. And the topic that you've chosen is also a very important and very relevant topic, mental health and mental stress, which is something that we keep talking about all the time, but many a times we don't really pay much heed when the need actually is. But before Professor Devendra has organized this talk, and recently we had a program which we conducted called Prayojan, where he also shared his experience and shared some thoughts on mental health and how we can overcome it. So there also we felt that there is a necessity that we discuss this more in details amongst our members, Indian National Young Academy of Science. But of course, sir is already there with us to discuss about this. So I will not go into too much of details about that, but I will very briefly tell our participants here about our academy. So some of you may not be very much aware of what we are and what we do. So that's why I wanted to give you a very brief snapshot of the Indian National Young Academy of Science. So basically, we are a very young and dynamic community of young researchers, and it was established by our parent academy, Indian National Science Academy. It was established in December 2014. The vision has been to promote science education and to foster collaboration amongst young scientists in India. So we have been embarking on this incredible journey, which has been marked with experience, learning, and a lot of achievements so far. We started initially very humbly with 20 young scientists as our founding members. In 2015, actually, the first meetings happened. Now we have grown to more than 110 members who are actively working in the different fields of science. And we are very fortunate to have a lot of medical background people as well with us. And Dr. Devendra is also amongst the medical and sciences members. And that's how we are able to come up with a lot of suggestions where we can integrate medical science with technological sciences as well. So we at INYAS are always getting a lot of new members every year. It's a very competitive way of the application screenings that happen. So the chances of getting selected is less than 10%. We are very fortunate that this year, 2024, we have got 30 new members from diverse scientific backgrounds. We do consider a lot of factors, different geographical domains. We do have a strong commitment to gender balance as well. So this year, 11 members are female and 19 members are male members. And they have come across the different parts of the country. So this reflects our inclusive and diverse ethos. We do a lot of activities which are aimed towards science outreach and education, training and collaboration. We organize a lot of webinars, workshops, scientific meetings, training programs for young scientists. Then we have a lot of flagship events. For example, the one that I mentioned, Prayojan, which is directed towards post PhD opportunities in academia and industry. Then we have a program called Are You Set Up, which is for rural teachers and school children, rural specifically targeting them and to bring them into the foray of technology. We have a dedicated program called Wisdom, which is related to bringing more women in science. INYAS also conducts a lot of competitive activities, like there is a program called Saransh, which is a thesis presentation in 3 minutes. Then there is the National Competition for Research Excellence, again, PhD thesis related presentations. There is a SciArt imaging competition. So last year, with India's G20 presidency, we were actively involved in a lot of G20 related activities, which included the S20 and Y20. We also conducted, along with IIT Hyderabad, the Model G20 initiative, where more than thousands and thousands of students came up with their ideas of how the Model G20 should be. Then we have been participating with several of the other young academies across the world as well. We are Recently we achieved a significant milestone by securing international funding as well from the Inter Academy Partnership. So we have established collaborations with the national academies of the neighboring countries as well. So, of course, the endeavors have been remarkable. We are very fortunate to have our strong alumni connect. Our predecessors have been doing extraordinarily well, and we are really thankful for all the efforts of our INYAS members and the entire INYAS community. We also extend our activities across the specifically focus on rural and remote areas. So our members across the different parts of the country do help in that effort. So of course there are a lot of partner organizations which partner with us, and we are thankful for them as well for such efforts. We definitely express our strong gratitude to our parent academy INSA for our support and acknowledge the efforts of all the members. We have a strong core committee which does take care of all the activity planning which our members propose, and then the executions take place. Uh, as I mentioned, our partners are really to be thanked. Without their efforts, we will not be able to do the kind of activities which we are doing. And of course, we are very thankful to our INYAS office for always strongly supporting us with the activities that we are doing. So, with a vision for continued growth, excellence, and societal impact, we are well poised to lead the way in science communication, outreach, and collaboration for a betterment of our society and science community at large. So this is, I don't want to go into more details about INYAS. I would just like to thank once again Dr. Vinay Kumar for being able to give time to us to discuss this very important topic. As I mentioned, our members are mostly scientists who are conducting a lot of activities, who have a lot of students actually, and the issue of mental stress has become a burning issue across the scientific community, not only in the medical sciences, but also across all, I think, disciplines where people have to work in a lot of stressed environments for some reason. And we have recently seen a lot of concerns growing with students. For example, Kota, we have heard quite a few of such unfortunate incidences which happened recently. So this is the need of the hour. So thank you, Dr. Vinay Kumar, for joining us, and thanks, Dr. Devendra, once again for taking this initiative up. And I'll hand it over back to you, Dr. Devendra, to formally introduce sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nishant, and everyone who has joined by taking their uh, time out for this talk. And this talk is named as Utilizing Nature and Culture for Mental Health and Well-being. As since last few years, the mental health has been a buzzword across the societies, even now under the relatively underprivileged societies. I work in an area where, I mean, there is a lot of rural area in the vicinity, and I can see that in those areas also people are coming up for the treatment and for the help seeking for the mental health. I mean that's a good news for us. There has been a tremendous challenge in form of the newer methods, newer innovations in the treatment and management of mental health conditions. So from that perspective, our culture and nature has a lot of inputs and hints for us to how to have mental well-being and a good mental health space. So in that perspective, our chief speaker, Dr. Vinay Kumar, has a lot of experience. I thank you, sir, for joining us today. And sir has accepted our invitation in just a one phone call, and we are very grateful to you, very grateful to you, sir, for that. And he has given his time for this talk. And if I have to introduce him formally, he's a senior consultant psychiatrist at his Manovid Mind Hospital and Research Center, Patna. He's apart from a psychiatrist and mental health. He is a wonderful poet, writer, and author of several books on not only on mental health, but from this in the social psychiatry and the poetry. His two recent books, which I personally have read, are the Yakshini and Atmaj, which has very pleasant to, and you'll be amazed by his creative and poetry skills. And he's a board member of World Psychiatry Association. I mean, his deputies of not national but the international level. He's also immediate past president of Indian Psychiatric Society, which is the largest body of the psychiatric. So, secretary of societology section of the World Association of Social Psychiatry, and he's also a member of National Board of Examination in Medical Sciences, New Delhi. It was just a formal introduction, but his stature and his personality cannot be described in the words. So if you hear him, you will get to know. Sir, I will not take much time. So over to Dr. Vinay Kumar, sir.
Thank you very much, Devendra, for kind introduction. And it's a pleasant day for me to get associated with young scientists. We all are related to science. We all are part of a scientific journey. But getting in touch with young scientists who are the future of science, who are the future of country, is definitely a very pleasant day in anybody's life. And today I feel that it's a great day in my life that I'm connecting to young scientists. This organization, Indian National Young Academy of Science, it's a new thing for me. Indian Academy of Medical Sciences, other organizations, we all heard. But for me, it's a new thing. And recently, just I was listening to Dr. Nishant, and I was surprised that all these activities are being conducted by young scientists, and they are taking care of themselves as well. So it's kind of different kind of thing for me, and I'm thankful for you for this kind invitation. Again, a pleasant experience to know that Dr. Nishant did his MBBS from my alma mater, which is going to complete its 100 years next year. So one of the oldest medical college of country, and it has long history and has produced lots of different kinds of doctors and researchers. And one person, when I see Dr. Nishant, that who is connecting science, technology, and medicine, unique thing. Another person in this area used to be Dr. Guha, who was working in Kharagpur, IIT Kharagpur till recently, as I knew from Dr. Nishan, who was awarded Padma Shri three or 4 years back, I think with Dr. Gangadhar, as far as I remember. So he was doing his kind of teaching in IIT Delhi most probably, and he was working on medical instruments, and he was not able to explain how medical instrument works and or what he wants to develop. And doctors used to suggest him something which he was not able to comprehend. Then he decided to go for a degree in medical science, and he did MBBS also. So, meeting with Nishant is a great day in a different way that after Guha, Nishant Chakrabarti is another person who is doing this. And my alma mater is connected to both of them. Dr. Guha's father was teacher of pathology in Patna Medical College. So it's a great day for me of knowing all these things. I'm a bit different person as explained by Dr. Deven. I am connecting two disciplines, but people will think that these two are strange bedfellows, literature and medical science. Usually, scientists will think in this manner, but that is not the fact. If you think about your own innovations, try to think about your own innovations. Any new thing which comes to your mind is in the form of imagination. So imagination is the mother of both scientific inventions and poetry and novels and other literary activity and art and music, everything. So imagination is mother of everything. So we are all brothers and sisters in that manner, if you think. The reason why I accepted readily, and that one reason is that I'm a bit free these days because my presidency of Indian Psychiatric Society is over, and weekly engagement part has gone from my life now, and I am getting more time for my clinical work and also writing work. But the reason behind all these things is that stress or burnout is more common in persons who are engaged in science and research. Researchers' stress is not visible that way. Researchers' burnout is not visible. Family member thinks that what he does, he goes to department, sits for some hours, writes something, does some computer typing, does some work, and comes home, that's all. So their work is not visible then. We doctors, at least people can say that somebody is working in clinic for 10 hours or 12 hours or seeing 100 patients or 200 patients a day. So that is visible. But researchers, innovators, usually it is not visible. The whole churning is inside mind. The whole churning is rather even they don't realize. They go enjoying, and one fine day they realize that something bad has happened, and they are not able to think properly. Their cognitive abilities have come down, and they are not able to to carry out further research in this area or something like that. So burnout is much more there and invisible. That is the reason. And my first message for the whole lot who is hearing and the people who will see the things on YouTube is your stress is usually not visible even to yourself, even to your family members. Leave society and leave government. Government is not bothered about all these things. They think that their stress is more important. They should get more pension. They should get good quality of life. But nobody thinks about this. And people cry that India is not coming with new research and India is not doing great innovations. You have to create an atmosphere for that. And atmosphere doesn't mean only external environment, but also the internal one. Make them stress-free. Give them free hand. They should be made free of lots of things, good amount of money they will need. Only then they can do good quality of research. So with this note, I'll come to my today's presentation. Share the screen. Just a minute. Even it's is it going? No.
No, sir. Yes, sir. It's visible now.
Visible?
Yes, sir. Yes.
But I'm not able to see. That is the problem. Just a minute. Is it okay now?
Yes, sir. Perfectly fine.
So, this topic was discussed I discussed the topic with Dr. Devendra and thought about, he was basically insisting on talking about stress management and some my experiences from my life, how literature helped me in my life. But uh, I thought that let's make it a kind of broad thing. This is the month of now June, and it's a very hot days are around, and we are experiencing the climatic change and urbanization, and also some kind of cultural issues in entire country. So I thought it's the right time to discuss about natural and cultural resources for mental health and well-being. At the outset, I'll say one thing that these cultural and natural resources are really helpful in improving mental health condition, in promoting mental health. Recently, I was in American Psychiatric Association Congress, and I was attending one workshop on art and mental health, and in which one person from USA was a participant. He was an artist and suffered two kind of series of problems in his life: addiction, depression, then cancer, and shared his experience of the whole journey. And he was rather much better when he was attending the conference, and he said that I recovered with the help of nature and my creativity, because he was an artist. And he became a writer after that. Like he started doing regular writing, and that helped me a lot. So, just I think last month only this conference was in New York, and uh, I'm almost having recent memory of that conference and how that man explained his suffering, how and recovery process. So that was another reason I thought about having this as a topic. So my outlook will be a bit different. I will not talk about stress only and stress management. I'm not going to rather talk about that. When I was president of Indian Psychiatric Society, the whole idea was that we will talk about mental health. We will talk about positive components of mental health. We will not talk about illness when there will be interface of public and science. So you're not exactly public, but you are not a psychiatrist as well. So for me, psychiatrist, this group of people is part of society who must be told something about mental health and mental health promotion. So mental health promotion is positive word, well-being is positive word. So let's talk about all these things, rather stigma related to mental health and diseases there is no need to talk about in the society. If society takes care of its mental health, promotes mental health to next level, then definitely many psychiatric disorders, stress related problems will not enter in their lives. Thinking this, I thought that I will focus on mental promotion rather than stress and stress management kind of things. So we are a combination of body and mind. Indian philosophy used to believe that there is a body and there is a soul. Body is mortal, soul is immortal. In Europe also, Plato used to think like that. Then came Descartes, who talked about dualism. Mind is different entity, body is different entity. Then, with the development of science, a kind of reductionist approach developed, and we started talking in a biological manner. That's all brain, nothing else. And mind is just a function of the brain. Another extreme of philosophical concept is idealism, which talks that all reality is in the mind. I used to publish one mental health magazine in last decade. I continued it for a few 10 years, every 10 years, and it was name was Manoved Digest, and the tagline was Manhi Manushya. So, but the question is, can we separate body and mind? We all are science person from science. Think that if somebody develops Devendra's clone, believe it, Devendra Basera, the person who is our friend, who has a wife, who has few children, definitely not. The clone will be a different person because body can be cloned, mind cannot be cloned. When you do video talk, what goes? You are very much present at the other end. Or I'm giving some talk. I'm to some extent I am present with you. My voice is going there. My emotions are being conducted. But am I there? I remember Dr. Salman Akhtar, one of the world's great psychoanalyst and psychiatrist. He is working in Philadelphia, the Personal Medical College. During COVID times, I talked to him and he said, how are you working these days or doing some teaching or anything? He said, oh, I'm doing some kind of psychotherapy, but the problem is face is not everything. Human being is not just a face. So the wholeness is absent. The wholeness is absent. Some mental component is communicated, that's all. And when we talk about some supernatural experiences or some yogis, what they tell that I was mentally present there, I traveled through the time and all. So all these things come to us. So another angle, if you see that what is mortality and immortality, mind may live in its creations after death of the body. So to my mind, it is separable to that extent. I am not feel myself competent on commenting on yogic experiences and supernatural experiences, but mind is separable at least to this extent that we are doing a video talk and we are communicating. My mind is going there and I'm away. So technology, courtesy technology. So, but mind is separable to that extent that mind may live in its creations after the death of the body. But it cannot edit itself. It cannot modify itself. I cannot edit my poetry after my death. One God cannot modify his art after his death. So that kind of relationship is there. A beautiful piece of poem by William Butler Yeats. This was quoted by in a talk by Nancy Andreasen. Nancy Andreasen is a famous psychiatrist and researcher. He used to be assistant professor of English who worked on Renaissance literature and wrote a book on that also. But later she thought that something I must try to study the mind which writes poetry. And then She started the course in medical education, and after 10 years, she became assistant professor in Department of Psychiatry. And she is one of the pioneers who did MRI imaging of brain, and her work is important not only in psychiatry but also neurology. And she is one of the first person in the field of creativity who did research that how creativity, what is the relation between creativity and mental health and mental illness. So in that talk, she talked about this. She quoted this poem. It's a beautiful poem. And last line will tells about the relation between mind and body. She asked in the talk that can you separate dancer from the dance? Both are same. Both are part of that. So I think this is the most suitable metaphor for mind body relationship, and literature came to help. So science needs help of literature for talking about information, knowledge in exact words. So what happens? Culture and nature. Nature makes our body. It's clear. Our body is a natural product. It's a part of nature. So body is made by nature. But what about culture? Culture affects mind and mental health directly. So body, so brain, through hormonal changes, through other chemical changes and chemical change and chemical reactions. And body comes from nature. Nature again directly affects mind. We will see how it affects in the later slides. So the relationship is this. Now let's talk about evolution of mind. What happened actually? Uh, we all believe in theory of evolution. We all believe in Darwin, and we all understand and we all accept that evolution took place. To begin with, it was brain, some kind of basic mind. Then evolution took place, and then came a stage of cognitive revolution. And cognitive revolution bettered mind function. It made more complex. And what happened? With cognitive revolution, the capability of to imagine came, the capability of to comprehend came, the capability of thinking came. Before that, there was no God. Being a scientist, being a person from science stream, we must think in that way that probably there was. I'm not talking in atheist way, but the thing is, the kind of God we know, the kind of Rama, Krishna, or Pagambar or something, whatever we talk about, these things were definitely not. So what happened after imagination? Imagining capacity came. Our mind started thinking that there is something good, there is something bad. Morning comes, brings light, safety. Night comes, brings darkness and some kind of threat, at times death. So there is something good, something bad. So sun is a kind of good thing, probably God who helps us. So this way we started imagining things, and that is called imagined reality. And once we created imagined reality became gradually reality. Country is imagined reality, but country has become reality too. Tax is imagined reality, but it has become reality too. So what happened? What we started thinking and creating through our mental process, that was imagined reality, and that created culture. And ultimately, after some time, that all started affecting our mind, current mind mental status also. So culture took a participatory role in further evolution of mind. If we tell in a very simple manner, rather I'm trying to be simplistic, that culture is the mind of society, and mind is the cultural part of the brain. Now, mental definition, what is mental health? So it's a very big definition available on website. Anybody can read this. But most useful definition which I found somewhere, I don't remember the source, but I forgot where I read it. And this is this. Mental health is the ability to work, play, and love. It includes everything. If a person is able to work, if a person is able to play, and play includes lots of things. And love also includes lots of things. From love towards country, to love towards the beloved, children, family, and colleagues, everybody. Work, all kinds of work, work of livelihood, work of survival, and work of research for advancement of civilization, and all kinds of play from football to PR, art making to filmmaking. So mental health is the ability to work, play, and love. And well-being has four components. You need well-being. The feeling of well-being comes if you are physically fit, if you are emotionally stable, if you have good social connections, and if you have a life with cultural inputs, with cultural fragrance, the essence of culture drop by drop comes in your life every day. So if whenever you think about well-being, don't think only in a manner that I'll go to gym and I will be okay. You need to be in touch with your persons in your life who love you. You are expected to be in touch with the whole society. A person who is just a family man is not a person with good well-being, or he will not enjoy the life that way. And again, it's the same thing, culture. If you are not connected to cultural attributes, you are not a person mentally healthy, and you will not experience the fullest quality of well-being. Now juxtapose mental health, nature, and culture, and think about commonalities. It's just a small story I'll share that the house where I'm sitting at the moment, I bought, and it was a big deal for me, really a big deal for me, and I was in severe stress. But on the first night, when we were lying on bed and we looked through window, we saw. My wife told me, "You see, there is a moon very close to us." I told, कि मैं हाथ बढ़ा के पकड़ लेता हूँ उसको. Then she told me that the light of moon is on our way. And believe me, that was the moment, and I forgot my stress. Just one moment. Another experience from my life I'll share during COVID period. During Alpha Wave, first Alpha Wave, I was captive of loneliness in my house. Nobody was here. My daughter was doing post graduation away from city, and another family members were in the USA. So I was alone. I was completely alone. What saved me? Said I came because I have lots of many around 20 plants in my campus and flowers and all. So I connected myself to nature. I started bird watching. I involved in I spent time evening and morning in the because there was kind of curfew, so only walking on roof was the only option. And that now I can say from my experience that those moments in which I got connected to nature helped me in fighting the loneliness. Nature, we all know what nature is. Not to discuss a lot, it encompasses elements and phenomena of earth, land, water, biodiversity across spatial scales and degrees of human influence. Then, hmm, nature, green spaces, blue spaces. Whenever because blue spaces are not available to everybody. In Patna, we can go to Ganges River. In Calcutta, People can go to Hooghly River in Mumbai. People can go to sea, but green spaces can be we can have in our own city everywhere or in villages. It's plenty. And what is natural experience of nature? Nature experience basically includes individual perception, interaction with stimuli coming from natural world through variety of sensory modalities, that is sight, hearing, taste, touch, and smell. Nature is what to do. Another important point is that it could be real, it could be virtual also. You will find probably a slide later in which it has been mentioned that if something real is not available, even virtual exposure to virtual nature is also good. If you're able to see some landscape, beautiful landscapes on the screen, or a movie, see a movie in which you can see lots of green spaces, that helps a lot. So because that is the nature experience. So virtual experience is also important one, and it is worth mentioning because of we are surrounded by lots of virtual these days. So nature experience, another component is maybe deliberate, incidental, active, or passive, but the message is must be deliberate, must be active, not the passive one. Why we need to discuss all these things? Why you are talking about eco-psychiatry? Why you are talking about nature experience, nature? Because initially nature was available for everybody. Nature experience used to come to everybody unhindered. What happened after industrial revolution? Changes started. Equilibrium changed. Then we started gradually our own environment, man-made environment. And now we all realize that the size of built environment is increasing at the cost of nature and nature experience. Urbanization, poor housing, and poor quality of life are linked with increased psychiatric morbidity and stress. And probably that is the reason we are talking about nature these days very regularly. See, I'm not going to read everything or talk everything, but the last line, it's painful to know that average screen time in India is 4.4 hours a day. And what is green time? Do we have data? We don't have. How much green time we need? We will see it later. So now, all of your people from science, and I would like to talk some kind of psychology here, that the relationship with nature is multidimensional. Nature is mother because nature has given birth to us. All our physical component or our bodily component comes from nature only. Then it acts like a father, keeps us alive, kicking by feeding air, water, nutrients. It serves music like a mother and supports in times of need like a father. Suppose if something something happens, you are going traveling somewhere, your car breaks down, and you are very hungry, and you walk around and you find that a mango tree is there, and you find some food. So nature is like that, and nature is a teacher also. We are flying in aeroplanes, we are taking flights which has shortened our distances, 1,000 miles to few hours. Who taught us for this? Birds only. So nature is a teacher also. So back to nature is like back to courtyard of childhood and laps of parents. The psychological theory, which will explain you the importance of this, why you should go to nature again and again, and everybody must know. It's a very simple theory called object relation theory, and it is three components. What happens? The object is perceived by the self. One step. Second, the self is in relation to the object. Another step takes place. Then relationship between self and object. Now I'm giving example. My mother is good because she feeds me and when I'm hungry. So it's a representation of an object, mother. Then the fact that she takes care of me must mean that I'm good. Representation of self. Then third one, I love my mother. Representation of the relationship. Now replace mother with nature. Understand the therapeutic effect. Going to mother, going to parents, how helps you. Now you think on that language. It's a basic psychoanalytic thought, and anybody can understand. And because you are from science stream, definitely you will need some theoretical uh, data support of scientific knowledge and advancements. Only then you will believe. Another thing is Rousseau once told, when as civilization advances, mental illnesses step in. And this he realized in his book, Social Contract Theory. Now he says that what was in the early days, primitive days, when there was no competition, everybody was just surviving. So in that period, it was love of self. People used to love themselves only. And in German, he's given this term, Amor di Sui. So love to self. Then what happened? With the advancement of civilization, Amor di Sui was replaced Amor propri, which means comparative worth. Then people started comparing with other people. And this led to inflammation of ecosystem, inflammation of mental process, inflammation of self. So we must not forget that nature is not an artifact. Even translocated and planted, nature components grow and we have naturally. We cannot dictate plants of our gardens and birds chirping around. We can alter the scheme of our roof garden, but not the relationship between flowers and butterflies. So it is only nature which can bring us back to our nature, our originality. So being in contact with nature can have some healing effect. So with this theoretical background, now I'll come to some exact scientific data and scientific findings which many studies have produced. So it talks about what does nature experience, how it helps us. So lots of studies tell us that it improves attention, lowers stress, betters mood, it reduces the risk of psychiatric disorders, it helps in improving empathy and cooperation. And there are many studies. Some are going to share some more. One study talks about the green spaces near school promote cognitive development in children. Another study that green views near children's homes promote self-control of behaviors. So all the other studies have been conducted. Uh, Another one, adults assigned to public housing units in neighborhoods with more green space showed better attentional functioning than those assigned to units with less access to natural environment. There are lots of cognitive benefits. So many studies tell us that nature experience leads to better working memory, better cognitive flexibility, better attentional control, and if you are in urban environment, your attention deficit lowers down. It's a beautiful study in which what happened. Students were asked to engage in a dull attention draining task in which they pressed a computer key when certain numbers flashed on screen. Very boring kind of thing they were subjected to. So how the researcher made the difference? Students who looked out at a flowering green roof for 40 seconds midway for the task. So this was one group. Another was allowed to see either on a screen or just a concrete roof. What happened? The performance of this group, which looked out at flowering green space after every 40 seconds, helped in performing better. All your working on computers, scientists, young scientists, I'll request you to keep some flowers on your near your tabletop, or that will definitely help you in performing your things in a better way. Sounds also. Another study tells about that if somebody hears cricket chirping or waves crashing, they perform better on demanding cognitive tasks than those who heard only urban voices. I probably have not put here, but there is another study which tells about that our mind, our brain can process only 20 to 20, 10 to 20 stimuli coming from environment every second. But urban spaces, traffic, urban living gives us 10 to 20 millions of stimuli. And that makes your brain tired. Another thing is emotional stability. Spending time with nature, apart from cognitive benefits, keeps emotional and other existential benefits as well. Social isolation. If you are alone, you are alone. But if you are in contact with nature, you are with nature, you are not alone. Birds talk to you, trees talk to you, breeze talks to you. Everything they touch you, breeze touches your body, and you feel that somebody has touched me. So that experience matters. This I was talking about that real versus virtual. There is a study. There are a few studies on this also, that virtual green spaces also help in improving attention and other things and mood control. But definitely, being in real contact is matchless. So there are some more studies. I'm not going to share all these things. And another few things are, if you are in contact with nature, your sleep is good, quality of sleep is good. You will be able to sleep for sufficient number of hours, and there will be reduction in stress. Another good thing is this world has becoming rather, we are losing empathy. We are lots of social attractions are happening all around. In urban areas, there is lack of empathy. People don't interact in a different way, and we are not kind to even our neighbors. All these things have happened. It's a beautiful study. It was done with young UG students, which showed that if you are in contact with nature, you will be more cooperative to each other. You will be more empathetic towards your colleagues and towards your neighbors. How much time one should spend outside? The study is 2 recreational hours with nature every week, but that is bare minimum, the rock bottom kind of data. We should at least try to spend at least 2 hours every day, at least 1 hour every day with nature. And connectedness is also very important. If you are going to natural green spaces or blue spaces and you are attached with your mobile phone, that is not going to help you. The kind of love words we see these days in advertisement, that both are talking to both are sitting back to back, and girl and boy both are having a mobile phone in his or her hand. So that is not going to help the lovebird either in terms of love or nature experience. So relatedness is important, addictedness is important, and that will help you in imbibe nature, include nature in yourself. So I think I have summarized the take-home points also. Let me end this part of natural resources with a quote from Einstein. Look deep into nature, and then you will understand everything better. I've been to Princeton University where he worked for several years. Almost all American universities are full of, all European universities also full of trees. Kharagpur is also full of trees, I must say. So that is important. And even Einstein has realized this before this environment and mental health component developed or eco-psychiatry developed in the field of psychiatry. Now let's come to cultural resources. I'll try to briefly finish it in 10-20 minutes. What is culture? Very simple definition. It was given by a British anthropologist. The culture is that complex whole which includes knowledge, belief, art, morals, laws, customs, and any other capabilities and habits acquired by man as a member of society. So culture is, you may remember, I told about the birth of culture, that it came, it was realized at personal level, but there was a herd, people were together, and everything was shared. So culture was formed, everybody realized, and everybody shared it, his or her experience, and that led to formation of cultural artifacts or cultural thinking or God or religion, other things. So culture is a thing of everybody. Now, what are the components of culture? In a very simple manner, I'd like to enumerate that culture is basically two components. One thing behavioral, which comes through generations. We learn seeing things in our society, and then some artifacts, some cultural artifacts also. So, but we can level four headings we can give to the whole cultural component is one is education, another is religion, then art, which includes literature and fine arts, then architecture. As a psychosocial construct, culture has power component also. How? And it has two dimensions. One is good, another is little bad. So power of culture. I remember again Salman Akhtar. He tells that whoever takes birth in India inhales three things: tuberculosis, Bollywood, and Hinduism. So he believes that even Muslims in India are not that Muslims or Arab, not like Arabic Muslims. They are a bit different because these things are around us. So this is the power of culture, because if components are all around you, components are surrounding you, so then you are forced to imbibe all those things. Uh, then traditions and customs. Another component is lots of things are compelling. You are a social creature. Your family members compel you for certain things, and you learn, even if you don't want. No, 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 I'll not take bath before puja. You have to. So all these things are compelling. Then political aspects also. Now these people can realize it, and there is no need to elaborate. So culture has a power component also, and it just barges into yourself. Culture does many things to us through education. Suppose first I'm focusing on education. What education does to us? The most important thing education does to us is it imparts rationality. You discuss, deliberate, you decode, you decipher the meanings. Then it broadens your worldview. If you are uh, not in touch with education, if you are not knowing entire world, you are not going to understand things in a broader perspective. But if you are educated, it broadens your worldview. Then it improves your mental strength. You know something is a big thing. It's a very big thing. If somebody is innocent, he might be having some different kind of strength. But if you know something, if you know that train is run by electricity, train is run by steam engine, you will not tell that lots of ghosts are working. As Indian used to say when train was first introduced in India by Britishers. So I'm just giving a very, very simple empirical kind of example. But the fact is, it improves your mental strength, and this can be n number of examples can be given. Another important thing is education is a tool to structure, restructure, repair the self, suitable for modern times. In psychotherapy or other behavioral therapies, Devendra will explain it in a better way if we will talk on this. That young, educated girls are good for counseling sessions because some education is important. Education makes your brain suitable for learning things further. So, in cases of stress, if you read a book, bibliotherapy is a very, very well accepted therapy. I will not be able to discuss all those things, but I'm just giving mention that bibliotherapy is a very good thing. And now in the field of psychiatry and psychology, it's an established thing that reading good books or going through poetry helps people in improving mental health conditions. Now, what is happening these days? Now there is too much import. Now it's time for over rationalization, and world is becoming flatter and flatter and flatter. So all the curves and curvatures of cultures are under severe stress. We must understand this whenever we are talking about education. So benefits of education, definitely they are going to do very good, lots of good things to you. But we have to think this also. Now, world is not the same. Then other components, religion, art, literature, and architecture. Let's move further to see. When we talk about religion, lots of things are dogmas, beliefs, values, customs, rituals, festivals, symbols, and texts are part of religion and hence part of self. Because yourself is not made by you only. You, after your birth, something happens around you, and everything is not spoken. You see that something is being done. Mother is going out and offering water to God's son, or some kind of puja is being done, or namaz is being offered. So all these things are imbibed by your brain in non-verbal stages of your development. So basically, yourself is made by lots of things. So at unconscious level, religion continues to play its role. You are people who change religion after suppose 20 years or 30 years or 40 years of life. They are basically some kind of reaction formation is there, or some kind of change in belief system may be there, but their habits die hard. They are from inside, their self doesn't change because that self is made early in childhood. Now, uh, effect of education I'm talking, and if you see religion and education try to counterbalance each other, we see lots of terrorists with good quality of education, done PhD and did MTech and PhD and lots of other higher studies, or studied philosophy or something. Still, they are indulging themselves in terrorist activity. And I consider myself very rational, but there are moments when innocent person, a rural person, a typical rural foolish person comes out of me every morning, every day, or whenever I am with my mother in my ancestral home. So There is something in religion which holds you tight because that is part of yourself and development. But for our purpose, what is important? The knowledge which has been created in the forms of mythology. Myths. I've given just photographs of few books, and I'll talk about myths because these days nobody is talking about myths or mythological literature is being misinterpreted. If somebody says that okay, Ram Setu was exactly, I can see Ram Setu here, or there was a Pushpa Viman 20,000 years ago, like that. So I have proof for that, and some part of Pushpa Viman I found in Sri Lanka, or some part I found in Ayodhya. So all these stories, narratives can be created. But the fact is, and that all these narratives basically malign the power of me. These narratives uh, rather pressurize people with rational thinking that don't talk about myths or ridicule myths. But the fact is, myths are very important. Myths are around us like air. I'll quote Levi Strauss. Levi Strauss was a famous anthropologist from France, obviously by working in some university in Paris. In his very small book on myths, he gives this word uninterested intellectuals. He says in his book that if you think that people who wrote text of myths were foolish people or less intelligent than you are wrong. They were not less intelligent at all. Basically, they were not interested in understanding the composition of water and air. They were not interested in this that plants are green due to chlorophyll or some God injects green color in them. No, they were just uninterested intellectual because they were bigger responsibility in front of them. Bigger, much bigger. We were surrounded by the whole universe, and human beings were not able to understand the relationship between whole cosmos and themselves. One person, an entire cosmos. This relationship was not understandable, not comprehensible. What is the relation between sun and man? What is the relation between morning and a man? What is the relation between moonlit light and a man? It was not understandable. So it was their responsibility to try to establish a relationship, try to find the relationship between the whole atmosphere, whole cosmos, entire sky, and a human being. So that was the reason they created mythological stories. And if you go through mythological stories, you are surrounded by awe. You feel, oh my God, like this. Okay, a child takes birth again in you, and you are mesmerized. How it helps, I'll tell you later. But let me quote Joseph Campbell, a person who worked in the field of literature, and probably he was in Boston, I think. Yes, he was in Boston. And he was a person of literature, but he was very much interested in myths, not only mythological stories prevalent in American countries, but also Europe and entire world. Even he traveled and studied Indian and Arabic and all mythological stories. And he basically he gave a kind of theory that there is a hero journey. His book is famous book, Hero Journey, in which he says that all in all mythologies, one thing is common: one Pagambar, one God, one avatar starts as a common man from a common land surrounded lived by common people. Starts as a common man. That's some kind of difficult journey, being helped by some fairies, some farishtas, some miraculous people, and then returns again to the same place with some kind of good knowledge, good information, or something which is going to help. So the whole journey is like this. Don't you think that all of us need this? All of us basically take birth as a common man in a common surrounding, and we all travel, and we are all fed by people. Then again, we feel more full of meaning in our lives, better quality of well-being when we are able to do something good to society. So the whole journey is like that. In a very simple manner, in his book Power of Myth, which has been transcribed on the basis of his conversation with a colleague on American television, and where he says that underlining the mystery of universe and facilitating relationship, that is one part of me. So you need, everyone, all of us need to understand this relationship with universe. Then myths are kind of sacred openings through which inexhaustible energy of cosmos pour in our cultural manifestation. I'm giving you an example. In a story we read, Hanuman was not able to, Hanuman was not thinking that he will be able to cross ocean and go to Sri Lanka, go to Lanka and meet Sita. But Jamban enters in the picture. It tells about you can do this story. Now you think what this story tells you. The story tells you lots of things. It inspires you in times of desperation, or when you are dull, when you are sad, when you are captive of your inactivities. That is the reason Dr. Endenvik, who was the professor of psychiatry and founder, head of psychiatry of Department of Psychiatry in PG in Chandigarh, he created a term Hanuman complex. So these stories are kind of, these things lead you, create a kind of sacred openings for you and connect with those, because that story, if Hanuman can do, I can't. Why not I? So this kind of things happen with you. Then it maintains the social order, okay, and teaches how to live under any circumstances or difficult circumstances. There are four functions of myth. So apart from this, as I told you, that religion made yourself, constructed yourself, and mythological stories, myths are part of this. So, second important thing is that myths, all myths are symbolic. They all are poetry. They are nothing else. They are stories in a language of metaphors. You can have n number of meanings from each and every story. That is the beauty of myth. All good literature dies to become a myth. All good story writers dies to become a myth. If Cervantes writes Don Quixote, it has become a kind of myth. J.K. Rowling wrote about, I forgot the name. I have not read that book, but that again has become a myth. So, so everything wants to become a myth. Why? Because if something becomes metaphorical, metaphors are easily comprehended by unconscious of human being. Scientists scientists really need to understand this, that you may not find exact logical reason for this. But the thing is, metaphors are primitive languages. And when you are in touch with metaphors, your unconscious comprehends it readily, because you are not only just conscious, subconscious, unconscious. Your whole self is made of, or rather surrounded by, Jung's words, collective unconscious also, which includes all these metaphors. So going through myth, going through literature, going through poetry, talks to you directly to your unconscious, or anything depressed, anything painful buried inside you will come out in a very natural way, very healthy way. You might read a story, you might read a mythological story, you will cry for 10, 20 minutes or half an hour, and you will be free of your own painful sufferings which are buried inside your unconscious. So, what to do? How we can take help of religion? Religious practices not under your control. These things will happen. Family will take care. Festivals happening all around you. Same, but two things: yoga, meditation, and other spiritual practices. So this is, I'm not going to discuss in detail because you will find lots of information and lots of knowledge in cyberspace on yoga, meditation, and other spiritual practices. Even Vipassana and all, you will find. Uh, but in brief, it imparts to well-being, physical and mental health promotion, stress reduction, help to fight illness and illness behavior, and we have enough biological evidence for all these things. So I'm not discussing it because you can find everywhere on the internet. I will focus, I'll just take 5, 6, 7 minutes on talking about art and creative pursuits. Art and creativity. I talked about creativity and science in the beginning, but art and creativity, all artistic endeavors are creative endeavors. So both go hand in hand. And the origin of art is where? Origin is in the cultural matrix. Most important thing is it's open for modification and new exploration. So art and artistic pursuits, creative pursuits are important for mental health and well-being. How? Let me explain. So what are the domain of arts? When we talk about domain of arts, performing arts, music, dance, theater, singing, film, all these are performing arts. Then visual arts like painting, photography, sculpture, design, craft, literature, writing is a reading, attending literary festivals, all these are creative pursuits. Then culture of going to museums, even going to visiting museums, seeing good architectural buildings, art galleries, exhibitions, concerts, theater, community events, cultural festivals, fairs, all these things are creative pursuits. So I'm mentioning domain and creative pursuits both hand in hand. These are this whole now it's a time of AI and things have been created digitally a lot. It will take a few minutes. I think I'm getting some message, but I'll finish it soon. So culture. All if you do some creative work on computer also, that is part of creative pursuit. Creativity, if you is basically a big thing. If you go to the previous definitions, initial definition, Plato called it that only God can create, other people just imitate. But Immanuel Kant, after Renaissance, new wave of thoughts came, and then humanism movement of humanism took place during that period. It was decided, it was defined in a different manner that it is an innate capacity to produce works of exemplary originality. So the free play of imagination, a process which doesn't consist in following rules, can neither be learned or taught, and is mysterious even to geniuses themselves. So creativity is artistic genius, basically. Immanuel Kant said this. Now time changed gradually. What happened? Industrial revolution. People started producing new things. We were not imitating anybody. Then socio-political emphasis on democracy and human rights came in the 20th century. Then psychological understanding was also growing. So all these things led to simplify the definition of creativity. That useful novelty through original thinking, any is a creative thing. It's creativity. It should be whatever you produce should be task appropriate and meaningful. So simple. Now, and so If you classify this, there are two kinds of creativity. One is domain changer. If Einstein does something, that is domain. Whatever theories he gave are domain changing. If penicillin was discovered, it was domain changing thing. LED light, domain changing thing. Rabindranath Tagore, whatever writing did was domain changing. Tulsidas, whatever he wrote was domain changing. It impacted his time and also it is influencing our period also. But creative pursuits are basically endeavors. Indulging in creative activity doesn't mean you need to be a domain changer personality. You have to participate in the process. That's all. And that can be done by anybody. It's a beautiful classification of creativity model that there are four C's. One is mini C, in which transformation is at personal level. You learn something, you attend a lecture, you talk to somebody, and you are transformed. So at personal level, then little C, everyday creativity. And through these actions, you change yourself and also your family, your small working area. Then proceed. Proceed is a bit higher level. Majority of writers and majority of scientists are belong to this. That this is domain change. This touch some kind of change in the domain. So this is domain changing creativity. And big C, element of creativity of itself. So domain changing effect does on pro C is effect on organization, field, system of practice or market. But big C impact on culture, society, the world. LED affected entire world. Theory of Einstein, theory of Newton, all these things, Darwin, all these things affected the entire world. So these are big C level. So creative pursuits, how does going to help? This will help you. It's a dynamic kind of thing. So, and it's part of sight and it connects with society. Just few examples. Dance. Now we talk about movement, effects of movement and dance, but Bharat Muni 200 BC wrote that Brahma created dance in order to alleviate the stress, negative feelings, fear, anger, lust, jealousy, and go to calm mind. Now, this religious thing you just discard and think about how scientific he was. Then rasas we talked about, experience of rasas. When you go through, suppose you are in anxiety, suppose you are in distress, suppose you are having a very bad time, tough time, and then you experience rasas. हिंदी में जिसको कहते हैं रसानुभूति, रस को महसूस करते हैं आप, you are a different person. What happens in your mind? Suppose you are walking alone, in a very bad days you are passing through, and a beautiful, I'm talking about a boy, and a beautiful girl who sings well comes in his life and is a different person. What happens there? Is it only good of the music which she has poured in the life of that sad boy has also played a role? Yes, definitely. Because two kinds of rasanubhuti. Rasanubhuti through music and rasanubhuti through love. Two kinds of rasanubhuti in is passing through, and that helps the person in getting free of that. When you are involved in creative activity, what happens? Very simple language. What happens in art or artistic activity? Raw material comes from unconscious. Your it gives the energy for that, and there is an ego defense mechanism. It's called sublimation. So raw material from unconscious is sublimated, made sublime, and your super ego edits it. and then it becomes a product of art. Forget what big art is, what great art is. Just indulge. Just indulge. Start painting if you are not a painter. Start singing if you are not a singer. Do it. Just indulge in all these activities. Do some exercise. Your unconscious sufferings, unconscious problems definitely will be poured in gradually. Initially, you will be doing mechanically something, few things mechanically, but soon you will be able to take out your unconscious material, and that will help you in recovery from stress and make life more beautiful. Another important thing is, in 2 lines, I'll summarize it, that all of our suffering, problems, stress come from habitual thinking. That is major source of pathology. And Jacob L. Moreno, who gave the theory of psychodrama and described theoretical experiences, he says very simple language that our all depressive feeling, stress comes from habitual thinking. Think about some colleague is doing bad, somebody is doing behavior is not good. Whenever I see him, I get depressed. Or our boss is a kind of rowdy person. I don't want to work with him. All these things come to your mind repeatedly, and that creates stress. He says that if somebody gets involved in theater, drama, what happens? There is involvement of mind. Number one, there is involvement of body, because in drama, in theatrical activity, some physical movement is required. Then you cannot create drama alone. Even solo performances are supported by lots of people behind the screen and in front of screen. And of course, if you perform, you have viewers in front of you. So all these lead to kind of interpersonal relationship, and then you get rid of your habitual thinking, your stress producing focus, and your life becomes better. Poetry, as I told you earlier, that helps you in bringing your unconscious, suppressed self outside. When you read poetry, if somebody talks about Ghalib tells that दर्द का हद से गुजरना है दुआ हो जाना. Similar language, similarly, another poet talks about pain so utter, बहुत दर्द है इसलिए बोल. So poetry helps in kind of catharsis. But apart from that, Salman Akhtar, about whom I talked about there also, he tells that healing power of poetry comes from its capability to bridge 5 duets. He says that all poetry bridges, even prose poetry, there is some kind of music in that. So it bridges music and prose of your life and music. Then phonetic, if you are reading poetry aloud, so phonetic and psychodynamics. Up, what is happening inside? Because you are speaking, you are listening to poetry, or you are speaking some kind of poetry, reading out poetry, then your mind also becomes active with the words and the meanings embedded in those words. Then right and left brain. There was a theory earlier. Now the theory is not that acceptable. That there are right and left brain function a bit differently, but even with the new theory, this can be said that right and left brain can be balanced with this. Another is known and unknown, because poetry takes you to a known territory. Your problem is
just a reminder.
Just 2-3 slides.
Uh,
Known and unknown, then separation and fusion. So then music also. I'm not going into detail. If you can learn all of the music, dance I've already mentioned. Then last thing is how creative pursuits help you in getting rid of stress. The most important thing is whenever you express, you try to find your authentic self. Then there is a positive focus. You focus on something, and this leads to state of flow. And in state of flow, nothing remains. everything flows out, and you become a different person. A new birth takes place, and you become a new person. I'm not going into the details. Last thing is WHO had published Health Evidence Network Synthesis Report 67, which talks about, it's based on 3,700 studies, and it talks about the positive effects of creative pursuit, how it's going to help. So reading poetry, participating in music, dance, going to museum, going to cultural festivals, all are basically tools to keep yourself mentally healthy and stress-free. I'm not going in detail now. Thank you very much for your patient hearing. I think probably I have taken too much time. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Devendra sir, you are on mute. Please unmute yourself.
Okay. Sir, thank you for sir giving your time. It was a wonderful presentation. It was a pleasure to hear you on the various topics, and these are really abstract topic, and some of things have gone overhead to us, but we'll try to imbibe things in a upcoming time. We'll again, we have a live recording on the YouTube. We'll like to again see that whole lecture. It was so much of creative information, and we are thrilled to have as like this. So we have a few questions. We'll sum up in the next 3 to 5 minutes. So first question, can you explain how psychiatrists, psychologists, and counselors are different from each other? So in just, sir,
Kindly repeat, how psychiatrist?
Psychologists and counselors are different from each other.
Oh, basically, it's a part of training. If a psychiatrist is a person who does MBBS, then 3 years MD course, and qualified to prescribe medicines. Part of training includes knowledge of body, knowledge of brain, and also psychology. Psychologists are persons who are basically trained in psychology, psychological testing, and if after doing MA, because they come from art stream, after doing their MA psychology, they train themselves as, with MPhil degree, which helps them in doing psychotherapy, if you are trained properly for that, or other kind of psychological therapies I'm not naming. Counseling can be done by anybody if somebody has been trained to do counseling in a given domain. Suppose educational counselor, somebody will talk about how to choose IIT Kharagpur will be better or IIT Mumbai will be better. So a teacher from Kharagpur can tell about this. But routine counselors are basically persons. Their duty is listen to the person's problem, try to understand what it exactly, assess the harm, level of problem. Is it harmful? Assess the harm, and then possible harm. Then you think that then you refer it to the suitable person, psychiatrists or psychologists. So psychologists participate in diagnosis process, psychologists participate in therapeutic process also, but psychiatrist is a team leader who knows everybody. Counselor knows little, psychologist knows much more than counselor, and psychiatrist knows almost everything. So psychiatrist is a team leader. So like that. Any other question?
So next question, how should a person handle stress due to constant connectivity of the social media and all these things? And how technology can be used to reduce stress in the world?
The best thing,
basically, too much information, too much.
Everybody is flooded. Everybody, even psychiatrists are also devoting too much time to in WhatsApp groups, responding to each other who will win this election. So even that kind of things. So there are few important methods. Number one, your morning should not NOT in capital letter with a social media kind of interaction. Don't see emails, even important emails. No. Say morning hours, no connection with social media, no screen. Morning time is no screen time. When you go to bed, at least 1 hour before, no screen time. This is going to help you a lot because then your the quality of sleep will improve. Then you can in the morning you will be able to walk, you will be able to think what you are going to do in the whole, plan your day. So that will help you. So this is two important measures. Third is you have to choose. You have to choose between things that
Somebody has written that you
I
are
will not be
audible, sir.
active across social media options. Twitter, X, Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp. No, try to fix that what I will do on which platform. That's all. So some kind of discipline is required. Any other question?
Sir, you are mute. Please unmute.
No, I'm unmuted.
Sir, last question is very interesting question. Does overactive imagination reduces the attention and concentration? Does too much imagination can reduce attention and concentration?
See what happens if the thinking pattern is obsessive. Obsessive means you go on thinking the same thing and again and again. If something is intrusive, it comes to your mind and compels. But that is not healthy. Number one. Number two, imagination and daydreaming both are different things. In daydreaming, what happens? You feel that there is a problem and you think about solution. And sitting on your chair or lying on your bed, you think that okay, somebody will come and do a miraculous job and alleviate poverty or take care of all my sufferings. So that is kind of daydreaming. So that is everybody does to some extent, but it's not healthy if you are indulged in that all the time. So apart from that, if somebody is imagining certain things related to something, then that imagination is creative imagination. If you are working on Benjamin ring structure and you are thinking and imagining something, and then you in your dream you see that a snake is putting its tail in its mouth, and then you find that this is Benjamin ring structure. That is creative imagination. If you are thinking about that some kind of painting or some kind of music, or I'm a poet, if some poetic sentence flashes in my mind, and if I start thinking on that line, that is a kind of creative imagination. I think I have answered.
Yes, sir, you answered wonderfully. So, sir, it's time to conclude, and it was a wonderful talk. And again, thanks so much for giving your important time to us. And I think our audience have benefited a lot from this talk, particularly in the nature and the culture, the importance of nature. The last my thoughts are is that the name of nature and tourism, sir, we are going towards nature, towards Himalayas in Himachal, and then again we are destroying that. So how to overcome that? So we are going towards nature, but then going there and then again destroying it.
They're going towards nature. That is different thing, but you don't need that much amount of dose of nature. Whatever you have in your campus is sufficient enough for your mental health. So that is different kind of thing. That journey is different kind of thing. So if one should plan that in my whole lifetime I'll go only once towards to Gangtok or the Kalimpong or Darjeeling or Uttarakhand cities. So that kind of discipline is required now. Everybody wants to go twice or thrice in a year. That is going to create problem. That is creating rather all the cities close to Delhi are started with tourists from Delhi only. Every weekend, thousands of people will start driving with some bottles of beer and a girlfriend, and they will create all kinds of nuisance on road and beside road. I have been few times for conferences and meetings, and I have experienced this. The what daily people are doing to nearby beauty spots.
Okay. Thank you for this enlightening talk, and we can conclude the meeting, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Ananya, you can stop the YouTube sharing.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Thank you.